Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Vandy, and if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. Today's video is super special because it's my absolute #1 requested video of all time. I swear every IG post and every video comment has at least one request for a parting tutorial. So what I have for you today is a very simple tutorial outlining the basics of parting. We're going to cover symmetry, bricklaying, and even triangle parts. By the end of this session, some of y'all are going to understand why it was important to pay attention during geometry class. So if you're ready to start perfecting clean, crispy parts, hit that subscribe button, break out your notes, and let's get started. Before we get started, let me first make this disclaimer. I know there will be many out there who will be lurking in the comments waiting to bash me for sharing this information for free. So let's be very clear. If you clicked on this video, you are likely here to learn and grow for your own reasons. Not everyone wants to learn this skill for monetary gain. My aim is to provide at least the basics so those who practice have a reference point to grow from. Braiding is a subjective art that everyone will do very differently in their own way. This classroom is a positive learning space, and those who hate or disrupt the learning environment will be removed, period. All right, so now that we've cleared that space, let's really get started, guys. So it took me a time to do this video because I really wanted a live model for this demonstration. Of course, you can practice on your mannequin head, but to really understand how this works, it's best to be shown on a live model because all hair types are different. So we have today my baby girl Brianna, who is currently taking a break between protective styles. Her hair is washed, conditioned, and blown out. The state of her hair is in the ideal state I typically ask my clients to come prepared in because the hair is tangle free and can be easily parted. Some people can get away with just stretching their hair in braids or twists, which is just fine as long as it's tangle free and I can get a comb through it. To begin parting, I'm going to use my carbon stainless steel rat tail comb. I love these combs because they are very, very sturdy and the stainless steel doesn't rust when you're cleaning them. So that you don't get overwhelmed, especially with long, thick hair, it's best to separate the hair into workable sections. These sections do not have to be perfect, they will just act as a point of reference. When you're considering symmetry, you always want to work in straight lines, either vertically or horizontally. When doing individual braids, it's most feasible to work in horizontal lines to maintain symmetry from one side of the head to the other side. In this case, I'm going to separate into 3 point of reference sections. The first section being from the ear to the nape, second section being from the ear to the temple, and then of course the top section being her crown. For the first section, using the long end of my rat tail comb, I'm going to line it up horizontally with the top of the ear, then separate halfway to the middle of the head. Then I'm going to do the same on the other side, doing my best to connect both sides. Once I'm confident with the section that I have done, I'm going to secure that section out of the way and then move on to the second section. The second section can be a little tricky because some hairlines are different on each side. So what I try to do is line up the temple section with the center of each eyebrow. Again, aligning the comb horizontally on each side, then connecting the two lines. For the middle section, I separated it into two parts so I can secure it easily. I now have 4 workable sections. I can now break each section down to as many smaller sections if I choose. And also breaking down into workable sections will save so much time and increase your installation speed. Now let's move on to cleaning up those lines, which will require a product to lay the hair down. And mine of choice, of course, is Shine Jam. People tend to forget that once you install a braid, there will be slight tension on the section. So throughout the parting process, remember to slightly tug on each section apart to be sure the line is where you want it after the install. I'm going to apply a small amount of jam right along the first line I created. Then using the long end of the comb, I'm going to line it up horizontally and part the section without moving the comb. Once I've cleaned up the long line, I'm going to flip the comb over to the tooth end of the section and part out any of the tiny hairs that I didn't catch the first time. So this is what my bottom section looks like with the horizontal line cleaned up. I can now split this section into whatever parts I want. So now I'm going to show you vertical parting by demonstrating standard boxes. If you remember from math classes back in the day, boxes are simply defined by the 90-degree angle on each corner. Since the edges of the head and the nape are not 90 degrees, we're just going to pretend they exist and create the other side. Using the horizontal line I've already created, I'm just going to turn my comb vertically and part downward to create the other side of the box. Now moving to symmetry, I've decided to create 4 sections in the back. To ensure the angles are somewhat even, I'm going to locate the midpoint of the back of her nape and create a vertical line there. I now have 2 sections that can be evenly divided on each side, creating my 4 boxes. Now that you have your foundation row, we're going to work our way upward with a standard brick lay. Within the same bottom section, I've already created 4 boxes on the bottom row. Again, to maintain symmetry, I'm going to create vertical lines on the second row that cut right down the middle of each box on the bottom row. The purpose of brick layering is to allow the braids to fit in empty pockets when they hang. The hair looks fuller when it's down, and it's also easier to pull up into a ponytail without unnecessary bulkage in the back. Also, as an important tip for beginners, work from the inside out as you work your way up in the rows. Because every head shape is different and every hairline can be different from side to side, if you start from one side and work your way to the other side, you could very well end up with uneven boxes. Last but not least, I'm going to share with you guys my secret to triangle parts. One reason a lot of people get hung up on the symmetry with triangle parts is because they forget the rules of angles. For example, to get the best symmetry with boxes, it's best to start with the foundation with an even row of boxes. Why is that? Because boxes have an even row of sides, 4 angles. Therefore, since triangles only have 3 sides and 3 angles, how many should we start with the foundation row? If you guessed an odd number of triangles to start with, then you guessed correctly. You want to start with at least 3, 5, 7, 9, an odd number so that you have points that you can match the points of the triangles up to as you move up in the rows, which I'm going to demonstrate for you guys right now. So that's it for the basics of parting, you guys. The intent of this lesson was to provide you with basic principles which you can use to practice with. When practicing, think of ways to make the process more manageable and efficient. For my aspiring professionals out there, keep in mind, parting size doesn't necessarily determine braid size because hair densities can vary from person to person. But parting size can be a good determining factor on how much you can complete in a certain time frame. If you found this video helpful, make sure you thumbs it up and leave a comment below. Remember, what works for me may not work for everyone, so your contribution to the conversation is always appreciated. Share this video with your friends and family and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next upload. Thanks for stopping by, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!